sports analysts Monica McNutt and Stephen A. Smith got into a heated exchange talking about the WNBA. I love that this is about the WNBA, I gotta say. And the conversation revolved around the fact that the W reviewed and upgraded Kennedy Carter's foul on Caitlyn Clark from a common foul to a flagrant foul. And they started talking about it, and things took a turn. Check this out.
Maximizing their great potential. And because we bring that up and talk about what potentially might get in their way, which we do to men all the time, now we got to sit up here and watch every syllable. I resent that, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, so let me, I know we got to go to break. Welcome to the world of being a woman, Stephen A., and how you have to dance about your word choice and you have to please everybody and anybody as you navigate your being. We are talking about the world's greatest
How about being a black man?
Okay,
being black.
hold on 1 second.
Have you?
So this is what I'm saying to y'all, though, and I know we got to go to break, and we didn't necessarily go there, and maybe we should. There are so many layers in this conversation around the way that it's being discussed. When you no, and yes, Shannon, I know y'all are gonna say and Stephen A., I know you just shared that you have talked about the WNBA on your program too. You guys may not have said everybody, but the prevailing sentiment for folks that are just joining the WNBA and following women's sports is unfair to the women of this league, to your point, who have laid the groundwork for Caitlyn Clark to come in and now take it to the next level. That's all I'm saying in these conversations. Kennedy Carter's behavior is not indicative of the entire league. We are still talking about competition where you are allowed to get a little extra elbow in if you are competing and you do it within the parameters of the game. The game is physical. Caitlyn is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
All right.
Who talks about the WNBA? Who talks about women? Who talk about women's sports more than First Take?
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right, we got to go to you guys.
So did you say
you're my guy, but
who does more than
Stephen
us?
A., I'm talking to you.
Wow.
Don't do that. I'm talking to you about the power that you have.
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
All right, let's
You're my guy, but I'm talking to you.
Guys, I really appreciate
you my girl, but you've missed a lot of episodes of First Take. You missed a lot.
Stephen A., 3 years ago, you would not talk about the W at this level. Don't do that.
Guys.
Nobody was, Monica. You making Stephen A.'s point, Monica. Monica, you making Stephen A.'s point.
Please let me do my job. Please let me do my job. We've gone for 40 minutes straight. It was a riveting discussion. I have to get into commercial break.
It was a wild 40 minutes. And I suggest I would suggest y'all go watch it, but ESPN has actually taken down the video of this heated exchange. And I get it; it's not a good look for the network when the heat goes from like good heat to bad heat, as Jeff Zucker used to tell me at CNN. You know, sometimes you can have a battle that looks good, and then at the end it gets worse. I understood what Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe were saying. It's a point that I made a couple of days ago on the channel here, which is, if Caitlyn Clark keeps getting hit with non-basketball fouls, it's a problem, right? But Shannon Sharpe says, people aren't going to watch it. I disagree. I think this country loves a white victim. They love a white rags to riches story. They love white heroes, and they love to protect white women. So if Caitlyn Clark keeps getting knocked on her behind and it's unfair because it's a non-basketball play, I promise you, people will keep cheering. They'll keep watching. They'll keep pushing for her. That she'll get more supporters than ever before. All these black men that have never watched a basketball game that involved a woman before will now be the world's biggest Caitlyn Clark stans. Why? Not because they love Caitlyn Clark, but because they love to criticize black women, and this becomes a way to criticize black women by proxy. I'm not talking about Shannon and Stephen A. I'm talking about all the people on the internet that have been, fangirling here, or fanboying, excuse me, over Caitlyn Clark at the expense of the other women in the league. But Monica McNutt is making a point here. She's saying, look, there's one non-basketball foul that's been made. There's one mistake that was made. One. Right. And if you take Kennedy Carter's thing off the table as an exception, the rest of the fouls on Caitlyn Clark have been basketball plays, hard fouls. Now, all these men, this is my opinion, all these men that have been crying about the NBA being too weak, and I wish it was the 80s, and I wish it was the 90s, and I wish it was the 70s, and I like when you could chop people's heads off and pull out a knife and stab people at the free throw line. You know, all these dramatic accounts of how physical the NBA used to be. Now, all of a sudden, when it comes to the WNBA, they're like, oh my God, it's too much contact. Oh my God, did you see that hip check? Oh my God, did you see that they threw her on the floor? Look, Caitlyn Clark is a rookie. Rookies are going to get tough treatment. Rookies are not going to be worshiped. They are not going to bow down and open the door for her. And too much of the conversation, and unfortunately it's been driven by Black men, has been, why aren't y'all more grateful to Miss Caitlyn for her giving y'all private jets and TV deals? By the way, private jets and TV deals were already in the works before she got drafted. Why ain't y'all more grateful for her? Why y'all need to be grateful for Miss Caitlyn instead of kissing her instead of pushing her? Y'all need to be helping her up instead of battling her. Y'all need to be supporting her. It's like this idea that that these largely Black women who have created a league that's been around since 97, right? That these women who created a foundation of a competitive league, who are the most elite athletes in the world, somehow need to owe all of their fortune and attribute all of their fortune to this one 22-year-old white woman who just been in the league for 10 minutes. That is unfair. And this is coming from a fan of Caitlyn Clark. I am a huge fan of Caitlyn Clark. I think she's special. I think she's a generational talent. I think she's elite. I think that I can't say how spectacular a basketball player I think she is, but she ain't singular. And she's not the progenitor. She's not the only one, and she ain't the first one. So please, can we stop with all of this? Now, as for the conversation with Stephen A., Monica made the point perfectly. She said, look, y'all, let's not make a mountain out of a molehill over this foul. It was a bad foul, but that's it. But then it became a bigger conversation about how we talk about women's basketball and how we talk about these women. And I think Stephen A. and Shannon respectfully got in their feelings a little bit. And Monica checked them and said, look, this is what Black women have to deal with, or women in general have to deal with all the time. The brothers were right. Yeah, Black men got to deal with it too. But this is specifically about how women navigate the sports world. This is specifically about how women navigate the sports world. Let's be honest about that. And she challenged Stephen A. by saying, look, you ain't talking about this 3 years ago like you are now. And he's saying, I have talked about it. Stephen A. might be right. I watch a lot of First Take. I don't think there's a lot of women's basketball talked about, but it's probably more than any place else. But the problem is the bar is so low. The bar is so low. Now, yes, Caitlyn Clark has created a conversation. She's created a news peg. She's so spectacular and such a news draw that, of course, we're going to talk about it more. Just like we talk about LeBron every 5 minutes on sports TV. Not even if he don't do that. If he has a loose stool, we talk about it. But the point is, women's basketball needed investment and support and love before Caitlyn Clark came, and a lot of us ignored it. A lot of journalists ignored it. A lot of sportscasters ignored it. We could have created the very thing that we're now acting like it just came up organically out of Caitlyn Clark's behind, and we didn't do it. And that's Monica's point. So at the end of the day, hold Kennedy Carter accountable for that hard, unnecessary, ridiculous foul, and it was not a basketball play. But let's not act like the sky is falling. Let's not frame an entire league of Black women like they're haters. Let's not act like all these Black women are just jealous and petty and reinforce all these nasty anti-Black and anti-Black woman stereotypes. Let's not do any of that. Instead, let's watch the league. Let's support the league. Let's cheer for all the teams. That, as fans, let's support the league in ways that go beyond talking trash about the Black women in it. And let's have an honest conversation about the ways that race and gender intersect to make this a much more complicated conversation than a lot of people want to have.